tonight on EIV News at 6. As gas prices remain high, find out how the U.S. is changing its role in the oil market.
Plus, the NBA lockout is lifted. Find out the effect it was having on local bars and businesses.
Now, from Emerson's leading news team, with the latest in world news and our nation's top stories, EIV News at 6.
Good evening and welcome to EIV News at 6. I'm Kelsey Barrett.
And I'm Joy Powers. We begin tonight with new developments on the Gulf Coast oil spill.
After more than a year, a BP contractor is being accused of covering up its involvement in the spill. BP claims Halliburton Energy Services intentionally destroyed evidence related to the oil rig's explosion. Halliburton was responsible for cement testing and monitoring the well. Some of the test results are currently missing. Halliburton denies any responsibility for the accident.
And speaking of oil, the U.S. is now on track to become a net fuel exporter for the first time in decades. Prices here at home, however, remain high. Domestic demand for petroleum products has decreased in recent years. Experts blame the state of the global economy. The average price of a gallon of gas remains $3.27 here in the U.S.
In other news, things are not looking good for the Postal Service. The U.S. Postal Service is announcing it will cut about 28,000 jobs in a new cost-saving proposal. Also, next-day mail will arrive in 2 to 3 days, changing the national standard of first-class mail. This year alone, the Postal Service has packed up $5.1 billion in debt.
And the post office isn't the only changing industry in the U.S.
News at 6 reporter Valerie Adamski went to the Boston Globe to find out how major national newspapers are transitioning in the digital age.
The digital age. It's come a long way from dial-up, and as it continues to advance, print journalists are finding themselves becoming more multimedia experts than traditional reporters.
It's a little bit seat of our pants type of learning.
As newspaper circulation is declining, more and more people are turning to the web for their news. This presents new challenges for print publications whose staff isn't trained to publish online, but the industry demands it.
For the most part, they're all retrained senior level journalists. Some are more open to it than others.
As the print world continues to transition to web, nationally known newspapers like the Boston Globe are putting their websites behind paywalls and charging for them like a newspaper subscription. As for now, there are more subscribers to the print edition, but some feel it's only a matter of time until the full transition to web is complete.
In some ways, the industry is flipping around so that the priority was on print and we had a website. And now it's getting to the point where we're a website and we have a newspaper. We used to start by saying, okay, here's the graphic we've done for the newspaper. How do we put it online? And now we're saying, all right, here's the interactive we've done for the website. What can we do for the newspaper?
While the industry is still in transition, Schutz feels the business models need to be restructured and the web editions of newspapers must become as high of a priority as the print edition in order for a publication to survive. For EIV News at 6, I'm Valerie Adamski.
The race for the GOP presidential nomination has a new frontrunner, Newt Gingrich. After his recent debate success and the end of Herman Cain's campaign, Gingrich has surpassed the longtime frontrunner Mitt Romney in Iowa. Gingrich is currently leading the polls with 33%, while Romney stands at 18%. Experts say the trick is now holding this lead heading into next month's primaries.
And as the presidential race becomes more heated, so does the race in fundraising. According to Forbes magazine, Mitt Romney now has 42 billionaires donating to his campaign. Coming in second is President Barack Obama with 30 billionaires. With recent court decisions loosening former restrictions on donations, rich donors are expected to have an even larger presence in the upcoming election. Meanwhile, Obama is urging the Senate to extend the payroll tax cut before it expires at the end of the year. The president said 160 million people would pay higher taxes in 2012 if Congress doesn't act soon. The proposal has led to a face-off between Democrats and Republicans over raising taxes on the wealthy to give the middle and lower classes a tax break. And speaking of a break, Bostonians in particular have yet to see snow this winter.
Our very own weather enthusiast, Aaron Farley, has what's going on here in Boston and all over the country.
Thanks, Kelsey. Chilly temperatures are making residents of Illinois and Michigan stay inside as snow accumulates. Now looking at the New England area, these states are going to be hit with either rain or snow. On the eastern side of the storm, expect heavy rain, while there will be snow in the upper New England area. Nothing to worry about if you are in these areas. West Virginia, on the other hand, will be getting plowable snow. Now let's take a look at what's happening in your neighborhood. Currently in Boston, 33 degrees and heavy rain. As our night continues, you'll see the rain gradually turn into snow. Moving over to your 5-day forecast. Thursday morning, you'll wake up and you will see snow, but don't unpack the snow pants just yet. We'll maybe get an inch. High of 45 degrees. All this week, temps will stay in the 40s. Friday, you'll see the sun, but Saturday, expect snow again. Few snow showers throughout the day, but by night, the sky will be clear. And on Sunday and Monday, the sun will be back. Now back to you, Kelsey, Joy.
Coming up after the break, nearly 5 years after the death of Saddam Hussein, another Iraqi leader is set to be executed.
Plus, Heisman Trophy finalists have been announced. Ian Steele is in studio to tell us who made the cut and who he thinks will take home some Heisman hardware.
The pressure is on for Europe this week. U.S.-based credit agency Standard & Poor's said they're considering a credit downgrade for 15 Eurozone countries. These include AAA countries Germany and France, as well as the Netherlands, Austria, and Finland. European leaders are expected to work on some new solutions during a two-day meeting tomorrow. In other news, Saddam Hussein's former chief diplomat is set to be executed. Ariq Aziz was issued a death sentence by the Iraqi High Tribunal, authorities say, where it persecuted religious parties under Hussein's government. Aziz is set to be executed after American forces leave Iraq next year.
Meanwhile, war turmoil in Afghanistan. A suicide bomber struck a Shiite mosque, killing 55 people. This is the first major assault on the mosque in nearly a decade. The Kabul bomber put the explosive in a crowd of men, women, and children during a holy celebration. No group has claimed responsibility for the attack yet, but the Ministry of Interior believes the Taliban to be responsible. And Allied troops have gone home, but many foreign countries remain by Afghanistan's side. The U.S. is one of more than 80 countries who say they will continue to help Afghanistan going into the future. Secretary of State Hillary Clinton says the U.S. will not allow the Afghan government to collapse, even after most U.S. troops return home. New developments coming out of the Pentagon. Sources are confirming the drone that crashed this week in Iranian territory was on a mission for the CIA. Now the U.S. government is concerned that Iran will be able to mimic the highly exclusive technology. The Iranian government claims the drone was flying in their airspace and will not be returned. The U.S. military is calling the crash an unfortunate accident.
South Korea is developing a new, different kind of crime fighter. The country has now created 5-foot-tall robotic prison guards. This new brand of authority doesn't need breaks from work or higher pay, and they won't be tempted to take bribes. The Ministry of Justice planned to have a trial month in March where the robots would conduct nightly patrols. This is South Korea's latest attempt to surpass Japan in using robot technology. In other news, Apple is facing a roadblock in its quest in dominating the tablet market. A federal judge is blocking Apple's attempt to ban sales of the new Samsung Galaxy 10.1. Apple has an ongoing patent battle with Samsung that will go to trial in July. At the moment, sales of the other Samsung Galaxy tablets have been banned in 13 European countries. And ever feel like buying an iPad or iPhone on your way to catching a train? Well, doing so might soon be more convenient. Apple is now opening its 5th New York City store in Grand Central Station. According to Apple's website, the store will open this Friday. It's a good location for Apple with an estimated 750,000 people passing through Grand Central Station every day.
Now, one of the biggest hockey games of the year had Bruins fans glued to their TV sets this week.
With more on how the Bruins fared, here's our own hockey hero, Ian the Iceman Steele.
The Iceman, thank you, Kelsey. I like it. Last night, the top 2 teams in the NHL's Eastern Conference faced off. The Boston Bruins brought their 14-game point streak to Pittsburgh to take on the Penguins. Goalie Tim Thomas also brought his 9-game win streak and put it on the line as he got the call to shut down the Pens' 4th-ranked offense. Now let's take it to the game. Sidney Crosby playing in his first game since he got back with the team. Take it in the 3rd period. Patrice Bergeron taking it up ice, gives it over to Tyler Seguin. He puts the Bruins up 3-0. Bergeron was double teamed there, left Seguin wide open on the left side. Here's a scary moment for Penguins fans as Sidney Crosby gets decked by Chris Kunitz. He would leave with just a stinger. He would be fine, not to worry for the Penguins. But his team would do just fine without him as Matt Cook sneaks this goal by Tim Thomas to put the Penguins on the board. And later in the game, after a collision with their goalie Tim Thomas, Greg Campbell does the honors taking on Joe Vitale. Vitale would get the last punch in this fight, but the Bruins would get the last laugh as they get the 3-1 win. The Heisman Trophy finalists were voted on and released this week. We had 2 quarterbacks, 2 running backs, and 1 Honey Badger making the cut. Now, the preseason favorite was Stanford quarterback Andrew Luck, but currently Trent Richardson is the frontrunner. My vote goes to Robert Griffin III. He's got the highest passer rating in the nation and made the Bears relevant by throwing for more yards and scoring more touchdowns than any other candidate. RG3 played his best ball when his team needed him the most by scoring 18 touchdowns and only throwing 2 picks in a 5-game winning streak en route to a conference championship. And the end of the NBA lockout not only had basketball fans taking a sigh of relief, but local businesses as well. Marcus Garcia met with Beantown business owners to see how the lockout affected them.
For bars and restaurants, an average Celtics home game would bring in around 400 to 500 people a night. But with the NBA lockout in full force and the cancellation of regular season games, businesses around the TD Garden are beginning to suffer.
Like all the places in this area, our business ebbs and flows with the usage of the garden. So certainly the NBA is a huge part of that. I couldn't give you a number, but it's substantial.
Like Jim Taggart, Corey O'Neill, a manager of the Greatest Bar, says his bar is also feeling the effects of the NBA lockout.
It definitely hurts the business overall, but you plan accordingly for, as far as like food and liquor and like what you're going to bring in as far as your inventory. But now your inventory is cut in half, so you're saving a little bit of money there.
As a way to try and make up for the loss of Celtics games, O'Neill says his bar is trying anything to get new customers.
Instead of planning around the Celtics, now we can just book whatever we need to book. We're bringing in, more functions, more holiday parties, corporate functions, marathon fundraisers. We had a rugby awards event the other day.
But Jim Taggart says it's not the bar that he's most concerned about, but his employees.
Bruins are still playing. There's concerts and stuff, so the business itself will make less money, but it will survive. The people that are hurt are the people that work here.
The difference pretty much between this season and last season has been, I was right around 35 to 55 hours last year. This year, about half that right now.
The NBA lockout is almost over. Owners and players have come to a tentative agreement on a new CBA. The shortened NBA season is expected to start on Christmas Day. Local bars and businesses hope to get back to a sense of normalcy once the season begins. Reporting for EIV News at 6, I'm Marcus Garcia.
Well, that's all we have for you tonight, and sadly, that's all we have for this semester.
But you can always watch us on EIV TV and EIVnews.com. Have a wonderful night, and we'll see you next semester.
This has been a presentation of EIV News and Emerson Independent Video. For more, visit us online at EIVnews.com.